In today's video, we're discussing what exactly estate planning is and why it's important. Hi and welcome. I am attorney Shamala Florant, aka your Legacy Bestie, with the law firm of Florant Law Group, and we help digital entrepreneurs, online business owners, and everyone in between who operates in the digital space. We help you create and protect your financial legacies today for a secure tomorrow. So in today's video, it's the very first video up on my channel, and today's video is an introduction to estate planning, and in today's video we're discussing what exactly estate planning is and why it's important. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So if you're watching this video, you are either one of two persons. You already have an idea of what estate planning is, or you're here because you actually want to learn what estate planning is. And so a lot of people, when they hear estate planning, automatically their mind goes straight towards a will, or a last will and testament, like we call it in the legal term. And while that's technically correct, a will is part of an estate plan, it is not the only thing in an estate plan. So what exactly is estate planning? Think about estate planning as the process in which you're preparing for the management of your assets in the event of death or in the event that you become incapacitated. So it involves the determination of basically how your assets are going to be preserved, managed, and distributed at the time of your death or in the event that you become incapacitated. In basic terms, an estate plan is really just concerned with the making of gifts to your heirs or the beneficiaries and providing for the settlement of estate taxes. So now that you know what an estate plan is, let's go ahead and talk about why it's so important. Now, honestly, a lot of us dedicate way more time when it comes to planning a vacation, buying a car, buying a house, what we're gonna eat or what we're gonna wear than we do to estate planning. Now, don't get me wrong, of course those decisions are very important. Buying a car, buying a house are important decisions to make. They contribute to living the life that you want to live, designing the life that you want to live, and living a happy life. So those decisions are very important. But after you've dedicated so much time to deciding those type of decisions and deciding how you're gonna go about acquiring those type of assets, the most important decision you should be making next is how you're actually gonna protect those assets. And that's where estate planning comes in, and that's why estate planning is so important, because estate planning is really concerned about helping you protect the assets that you've already acquired. Now, I know when it comes to estate planning, it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes to talk about estate planning. No one really wants to talk about their death, right? A lot of people, you would want to hope and think that you're gonna live forever, and I wish we could. But honestly, truth is, part of life is that at some point, if it's one thing that we know for sure, we all have an appointment with death. We just don't know when that's going to be. And so while I know it is very taboo for people to talk about, their death or even think about it, it's very important to do that. And when it comes to estate planning, I know there's a very big misconception that estate planning is only for the rich. If you take nothing else away from this video, take away this one thing. Get it out of your mind that estate planning is only for the rich. That is a very big misconception, and I want you, after you've watched this video, if you are someone who had that line of thought that estate planning only applies for the rich or people who have a lot of money, get that out of your mind right now. If you are someone who's alive, you can have an estate plan. You have a savings account, that's an asset. An estate plan will help you actually determine and make decisions for how that asset will be taken care of in the event of your death or incapacitation. So definitely get rid of the idea and the misconception that estate planning only applies to the rich, because that's no longer true. Maybe it was way back, years back. Nowadays, that's definitely not true. Estate planning is important for everyone, because without having an intentional plan in place, you end up with a government plan. And technically what a government plan is, it's pretty much you haven't had an estate plan in place, so you end up with a plan from your state. Basically, all that means is in the event that you die without an estate plan, the state is going to decide what happens to your assets, who gets what, who can make certain decisions on your behalf in the event that you become incapacitated or at the time of your death. So you definitely don't want a government plan. You want to have an intentional estate plan in place. Now, of course, another reason why estate planning is so important is because it allows for you to plan for the settlement of estate taxes, and it also helps reduce the impact of certain decisions on your loved ones. So let's go ahead and really talk about some key reasons why estate planning is so important. Number one, having an estate plan in place eliminates family messes or disagreements. I'm sure a lot of you have heard time and time again how things become so messy when someone dies, because all of a sudden everyone thinks that they have the right to make certain decisions. Everyone thinks that they have the right to certain assets and properties. And that becomes particularly true when you have died without having an estate plan. It becomes very messy because now everybody is up in ears, making decisions on their own and thinking they have the rights to certain things. Having an estate plan in place eliminates those type of disagreements because you've already made those decisions for your loved ones and your family. You've already decided who gets what as far as your property is concerned, who gets to control certain things, who gets to make certain decisions on your behalf. That completely eliminates that burden on your loved ones. Now your loved ones, instead of having to be concerned about making those type of decisions as to who gets what, all they have to be concerned about is really grieving you if you've passed and carrying out your wishes in the best way that they can, just as you wished for it to happen. The next reason why estate planning is so important is because it helps you create a plan to protect your children, especially if you have young children. So if you're someone who's a parent and you have minor kids, having an estate plan in place is going to help you think about temporary and permanent guardians for your minor children. Now, of course, in future videos, we'll go more in depth as to what all of those even mean, defining those and giving you tips and tricks on how to go about making those decisions. But having an estate plan in place definitely helps you have a plan of who you want your temporary guardians and permanent guardians of your minor children to be. Now, the third reason why estate planning is important is because it allows you to plan for tax protection. Estate planning is all about transferring assets to heirs and beneficiaries. And of course, in the process of doing that, in the process of transferring your property and your assets to other people, that could have major tax implications as well. Having a proper estate plan in place could help you reduce, if not completely eliminate, federal and state estate taxes as well as state inheritance taxes. And of course, there are certain beneficiaries, again, we'll go in depth as to those things in future videos, but of course certain transfers that you make could impact certain taxes. But when it comes to estate planning, there are two major taxes that you might have to be concerned about: estate taxes and inheritance taxes. And so having a proper plan in place when it comes to estate planning helps you, if not completely eliminate those type of taxes, helps you reduce those in a major way. Now, the fourth reason why estate planning is important is because it helps to protect beneficiaries. Of course, again, beneficiaries are the people who are going to receive your property and your asset. Those are people that you've decided are going to receive whatever asset or property that you have. And in having an estate plan in place, you decide who gets what and what can be done with that property. Absent such an estate plan or absent such a plan in place, the state and the court is going to decide who gets your property and what can be done with it. Now, if I know one thing is for sure, you definitely don't want the state and or the court deciding what happens to your property, who gets your property, and what can be done with it. Because I'll tell you what, the state and the court, they're the furthest thing far removed from knowing your family and knowing what you would have wanted when it comes to your property. So don't don't put yourself in a position where you're now leaving that decision to be made by the state, because the state doesn't know your family members. They don't know who's responsible and who's not. And don't think that they're gonna make the decision that you would have made for your assets that would have been in your best interest. So completely eliminate that and have an estate plan in place, because doing that, all that's gonna happen is your family, they're just going to be focused on carrying out your wishes to the best that they can. They don't have to be worried about making certain decisions and worrying about whether that decision would have been what you wanted. All they have to be concerned about is just making sure that if you've passed on, that they're grieving you accordingly and that they're carrying out your wishes in the best way that they can. So that's what estate planning is. Estate planning is just a plan to help you preserve, manage, and distribute your assets in the event of incapacitation or death. And it also helps protect the dear loved ones. Okay, I urge you to consider having an estate plan, so that way your family does not have to be concerned about making decisions that they would have otherwise not wanted to make. You have already made those decisions for them. You make life easy for them, and think about that as your act of love even when you've already passed on, so that way they can keep living on your memories, grieving you in the best way that they know that they can, and making sure that your well wishes are carried out in the best way that they possibly can. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Drop a comment down below and let me know what is one key takeaway point that you learned from this video, what estate planning is actually about and why it's so important. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, definitely go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you guys have not yet subscribed, I know this is one of the very first videos, but if you are looking to create and protect your legacy, this is where you want to be. So if you have not yet subscribed, definitely go ahead and smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well, so you don't miss future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go out there, create your legacy, but most importantly, don't forget to protect it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.